Well, hi everybody. You caught me between two shelves. I'm Taha Mandviwala. I play Patel in the U.S. National Tour of Life of Pi. And today, we're gonna go explore and find a couple of cool plays. I can't say enough about what this book and what this show means to me. The first time I saw this show on Broadway, I wept because I saw Hiran, who was playing the role at the time, do such an astounding job, but more so, I got to see myself in him. I had gotten to see a South Asian man leading this company of incredibly talented performers. I know the idea of a dream role is a bit of a cliche thing, but there has been nothing written for the stage that felt more written for me. And I think the day that we had our first performance for an audience, where I got to fully put myself out there and share this story, and to feel the reception afterwards, I came off stage and I collapsed to the ground and I cried. Just quiet tears of gratitude, because this is a very beautiful chapter of my life. Waiting for Lefty! There it is. I did this in a small little black box production directed by my friend Peter Allen Stone. And I remember this was also one of the first times I was ever recognized outside of the show. I went to a Starbucks and I ordered a coffee, and they didn't ask for my name, because when they gave me my drink, it just said, "Waiting for Lefty Dude." So that was cute. God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. So when I was in college, I was pre-med all the way through. I entered college as a physics major. I ended up switching throughout the subsequent years to a theater major while still doing pre-med, thinking, hey, Mom, Dad, don't you want a doctor with good bedside manner and empathy? Which worked, by the way. So I found myself at an internship right out of graduation at Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park. And one of our responsibilities was being in the ensemble of their production of A Christmas Carol. Funny enough, about 2.5 years later, this was the show I got to rejoin to get my equity card. Growing up in Kentucky as a South Asian, there was no South Asian example of someone who went into the arts and left the very stable linear pathway of medicine or engineering or law or anything else. So this is the 39 Steps, adapted by Patrick Barlow. This was a show I got to really show off my accent and vocal range just to mess around. And I think I remember in rehearsal I came up with something like, "Thank you, I will now place myself in a state of mental readiness for this evening's performance and clear my inner being of all extrinsic and supernaturally material." Just so ridiculous and over the top, and this show has so much space for it. It's also one of my first experiences with puppetry. So our director, Andy Gockel, was a massive puppetry aficionado. And we ended up using a multitude of different puppetry techniques. We used shadow puppetry, figure puppetry, stick puppetry. It was also the first time I wore a full sequenced evening gown and a wig. I'll see if I can find photos of that. It might be a treat. When I was growing up, my sister is 4 years younger than I am. Her name is Sarah. We used to play a lot together growing up. And I remember when she was very young, I would read her stories and act out little puppetry things at the edge of her bed. I was never in any theater classes. I had never done a play. It was just playfulness. When I think about how I became an actor, when I think about what were the parts about myself that started to percolate and started to grow, it really came back to these more innocuous moments of childhood playfulness.
Aha! There we go.
Classic. A true trial by fire when I auditioned. I drove cross country from Lexington, Kentucky to Santa Cruz, California by myself in my car. It took me 5 days to drive across the entire United States, and I would just listen to the tapes of Romeo and Juliet on that drive.
Grab this like it's an artifact in Indiana Jones.
Agatha Christie. I've done 2 productions by Agatha Christie. One of them is Witness for the Prosecution. The other one is Murder on the Orient Express. I think this was one of the first times I've really understood the relationship between performer and audience. Understanding that our job as storytellers involves a certain dynamic of trust, and that to win the audience's trust is to imbue yourself with power in the narrative that you're telling.
I will just need some sort of cool closing line here.
And with that,